Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a new episode of Eve Echoes. Tonight on the show, as advertised by the posters, in regards to Black Friday and Neonrain event, we are hosting a giveaway. It is 20th November after all, and we're giving off 260 coupons, and these are coupons that give you a discount price in the Interstellar Bazaar. So we've got 10 coupon codes that give you 50% off on any purchase. We've got 50 coupons that give you 30% off, and we've got 200 coupons that give you 10% discount inside the Interstellar Bazaar. If you don't know what the Interstellar Bazaar is, the latest event, which you can buy various stuff. They're pretty much expensive, but with the coupons, maybe you'll be able to get something to your liking. There's plenty of stuff that you could buy. Right now, there's the Nesta as available in the Lucky Chest, but right here we're on the test server, so I wouldn't actually. I don't know if this corresponds to the live server. But yeah, we've got 260 coupons that we're giving out, and how do you get one such coupon? Well, it's pretty simple. You just leave a comment down below in the comment section with the following structure: coupon, space, dash, space, and your in-game name. It's pretty simple. This is how you get into the draw. I have a doubt, I have doubts that there will be 260 participants in the giveaway, but regardless, we're giving away all the coupons. So at the end of the day, if there's more than 260 participants, we'll have to do a random pick, of course. If there's less than 260, we'll do a random pick for the 50% coupons, and with the rest I'll just distribute them, of course, randomly picked, but with the given participant. So some of you might end up with multiple coupons, but if you're less than 260 participants, you'll definitely receive a coupon. Definitely. So with that out of the way, today we're going to be talking a bit about capital ships, and we're going to tell you guys all about what I've been doing and testing and running, science and stuff. So some of you have already started building capitals. There have even been kill mails in regards to capital ships. Many of the destroyed capitals are actually carriers. Well, I guess they just got caught off guard. It's pretty easy to dispatch a fleet with a carrier, but it's also easy to take down any given capital ship if you know how to pull it off. Just for your information, the carrier can support two types of fighters. Let me show you guys quickly. We've got the standard fighters, which are great against cruisers, battle cruisers, and battleships, and we have the light version of the fighters, which are basically good against smaller ships. In what I mean by smaller ships is drones, frigates, and destroyers. They're pretty fast, and they work really, really well in those circumstances. Now, what you need to understand, the standard version of the fighters that work well against cruisers and battle cruisers and battleships fit 9 fighters per 2, meaning you can deploy at once 27 such fighters, which will pretty much eat up any battleship and battlecruiser. It's going to be dead in a few seconds. You can tell this by just looking at the DPS. By the way, this DPS is shown right here is done only through skills. Of course, it's max skills. I have max skills, everything, but I think we can assume that everyone will have 553 in most of the fighter drones and the capital ships and carrier skills. So this is a tangible DPS value that you might end up with. I have no rigs. I have no damage modifier modules. I only have a single module fitted, which is the micro-warp drive guide, which helps the fighters drive faster and move between targets faster. Of course, if I'm deploying the fighters from 200 kilometers, because this one has a range of 300, I think 300, 500 kilometers. Let me quickly check on that. Drone command range 500 kilometers. Yeah, so if I'm deploying the drones from 300 kilometers, I would expect them to get quickly to my designated target. Otherwise, I'm pretty much useless on the board. Because fighters move pretty slow. Yeah, they really move slow. The only fighters that move fast are the ones that are intended for destroying or for seeking out drones, frigates, and destroyers. The light version of the fighters. Now, with the light version of the fighters, you will end up with half this DPS. With full skills, no rigs, no damage modifiers, I get around 2,500 DPS, which is awesome, by the way. You can instantly pop anything. So a carrier, in theory, or at least a fleet of carriers, a couple of carriers, should be able to wipe the board clean in regards to support ships, because currently there's no weapon systems for the Dreadnoughts that can support fighting against smaller ships, unless they're webbed and you're shooting at them from a distance and you have maximum tracking. Tracking on the Dreadnoughts is horrible, and not to mention the velocity, explosion velocity, and explosion radius on the missile system of the Citadel missile systems for the Caldari Phoenix. That's just horrible as well. So the Dreadnoughts are pretty much intended for capital warfare, like fighting other capitals and destroying enemy carriers and bashing stations. That's the purpose of Dreadnoughts, and the carriers are there for support. Now, we are missing the logistical line of ships in capital, but I don't know if they're going to introduce them at one point or another. Right now, logistics for capital ships is pretty much non-existent, and having a fleet of logistics just trying to repair capital ships is pretty much dumb in terms of pilot resources. At this point, I guess the best solution is to have capital ships and capital pilots to rely on their own tank. Yeah, it's pretty shitty. But, as I mentioned, the carriers are supposed to deal as support ships, to deal with the support fleets. They should be able to clean support ships from the board. Enemy battle cruisers, battleships, cruisers, destroyers, everything. They should be able to mop the floor with them. But given the fact that there's still a search for items and a search for manufacturing drones and fighters, and most of the carriers that have been downed are not entirely fitted. Some of them are missing drones, some of them are missing some tank items. So it's pretty easy to down a carrier today. And the fact that NetEase is constantly pushing with the contest of the capital building, and they're showing up the list of people who have built capital ships, and it's there on display on Twitter. Alliances and actually mercenary corporations have been using that list to hunt them down, literally. And it's something that I pointed out a couple of videos ago, exactly about this will happen. And it did happen, and it's happening, and people are having fun blowing up carriers. And that's okay, it's part of the game. I mean, you build a carrier, it has an unmarked expiration date, it might blow up tomorrow or a couple of months from now. But highly skilled pilots will know how to not get caught, how to avoid combat, will never be alone. That's the main thing. We'll have a support fleet. A capital ship is not something that you can just go in by solo and be, I don't know, Chuck Norris, Texas Ranger, and start shooting, blapping everything. No, you actually need a support fleet. You need some other guys to tackle targets. You need some support in... could be logistics, maybe you would need some capacitor, but I don't know, the capacitor consumption rate is off the charts, and as I mentioned before, supporting capitals with the entire logistics fleets is just out of the question. I mean, you'd better want to have a 100-man fleet trying to, or at least split into fleets, trying to deal as much DPS to clear the enemy off the board, and have one capital ship with 25 support battleships and 50 pilots in a fleet flying logistics and trying to rep the carrier. That's just dumb. So as I mentioned, capital pilots, at least skilled pilots, will know how to fly capital ships and will know when to disengage, when to pop on the board, and when to start shooting and when to start engaging, and when it's not the case to do so. But even skilled pilots can make mistakes. But there's one thing that no pilot out there can outmaneuver, and that is fatigue. And of course, aside from fatigue, is the actual jumping. You see, for capital to go from system to system, it can go through gates, but just traveling that way is highly dangerous because you're exposing yourself to many risks along the way. We've seen capital ships being taken down by 4 to 5 players. At least 5 battleships, striker battleships, took down a carrier, no problem. I think it was among the first that blew up, and we've also seen a carrier recently that got blown up from a prophecy fleet. So traveling by gates is a no-no in my book. Capitals use jump drives to go from point A to point B, and the jump drive is fueled by fuel. They actually did fix the bugs regarding jumping. It was horrible, nobody could jump. The fuel bay was inaccessible. They removed the fuel bay. We now have to store the fuel inside our cargo hold, and in order to jump, somebody needs to open a sinostral field. They need to open a sino at the designated destination, and the capital ship will use that sino beacon, as the name suggests, and will be able to jump from its current location, open a portal, a synthetic wormhole, let's call it that way, and jump to the beacon, and that will consume fuel, and when you land you'll be left with a fatigue, and we'll talk about this in a few moments. So why was I mentioning that players, actually even highly skilled pilots, without doing any mistakes, are very vulnerable in these situations? Well, first of all, capital ships cannot jump if they are being tackled. So if they have they're inside bubbles or they are scrammed, they cannot jump, right? They're unable to activate the jump drive. So they need to clear the field and then be able to jump. And after they jump, there's a couple of problems. Well, you see, on the beacons list, you will see every available beacon, meaning it's going to be a beacon from your fleet, it's going to be a beacon from someone else, and you might also see the beacons from the Sino towers. Let's open up the jump drive menu and I'll show you guys immediately. So right now, no one has any Sinos lit, except my own, which I'm in the region of space on the test server, and I've set up my my corporation citadels, and I've anchored some sinostral generator towers, so I can jump back and forth and have fun. So if a player would be within the range that I can jump, and he will light up a Sino, regardless if it's a friendly or an enemy, I will see that Sino lit, and if I jump to it, if it's not a friendly, well, you know what that means. I'll end up in an ambush, and that's it for my carrier. Opening Sinos, of course, is a dangerous business for the pilots that are doing it, because they're stuck in that position. They cannot move while the Sino is up, so they can be blown up. And they can be blown up, and then after the carrier jumps, you can just find yourself amongst a fleet of enemy pilots, and it's still bad. But usually Sinos are lit up in safe locations around stations, so after the jump has been initiated, the capital ship can immediately dock, or I don't know, do something to get off grid and not be ambushed and attacked and destroyed by other people. But again, there's yet another problem. You see, we have 2 Sino towers set up for testing. I'm in between the Sino towers because I've done some testing in regards to the jumping capability of the jump drive. And what I mean is the distance that I can maximum jump. In EVE Online, the distance is 7 light years. To understand distance, you need to go to the map, and basically, if I want to get from where I'm at in LTAC Age, I have 1 Sino tower in VTAC M and 1 Sino tower in BWF. So the distance between those systems, which is a straight line, by the way, is 6.9 light years. In EVE Online, the maximum jump distance is 7 light years with maximum skills. Unfortunately, in EVE Echoes, we don't have the skills that increase or allow an increase in jump drive distance. So the maximum jump drive distance is 5.1 light years. So meaning I cannot jump between my two towers. If I would place them closer together, yeah, I could pretty much jump back and forth between my towers. So right now I'm in between the towers and I can pick where I need to go. And you can do this by having planning a route and using intermediate jump points. For example, you want to jump from point A to point B and the distance is too big. You'll have to find several alts or characters or pilots that are willing to help you into lighting up those sinos so you can jump from point to point in reaching your destination. You've left from A, you want to go to B, but you need to make 3 jumps in between because of the limited range of 5 light years. So let's open the jump navigation again, and I'll pretty much just pick the BWF because it's the furthest away. We've got 4.94 light years distance, and it will cost me 300,000, a bit over 300,000 gigajoules, which is a lot of plasmoids, by the way. But I can do the jump. I've got plenty of fuel in my cargo hold. By the way, after the bug fix, the sign, or at least the beacons that you cannot reach because they're out of range, you don't have sufficient fuel to jump to that destination, will just not be here. You can still see them by selecting all beacons, but in the available beacons, you'll only see the ones that allow you to jump given the current circumstances. You have enough fuel and the distance is within the limits. So let's jump to the BWF Sino Tower. We're going to do this right now, and we're jumping, and it's amazing. The animation is amazing. Look at that. And now it looks like a gate. Anyway, so I'm going to reach at the destination, and I'm in my home system right here. As you can see, I'm right near the Sino Generation Tower, and the Sino Tower cannot be near the station. The Sino Tower must be at least 5,000 kilometers away from any structure. So if it's located away from the station, it's somewhere remotely. Let's see what the station is. The station is somewhere. It's not loaded up. Sometimes this bug happens. Let's see. This is the... no. Yeah, ignore the names. I've had, let's say, too much fun with naming my stationary objects. Okay, so I have the Corporation Outpost, which is located somewhere down below. Look at that. I just put my Sino Tower way up above the grid. So it's at 6,000 kilometers. What happens when you do a deployment? So let's say you're going to war with another alliance, and you're going to deploy, and you're going to engage with an enemy fleet, and you're going to bring your capitals, your carriers, and you're going to wipe them out. And I don't know, while you're fighting and you're doing stuff, a mercenary fleet hired by your enemy will just come into this system and camp this specific location. Given the fact that most of the alliance is out in the call to arms or in the deployment and is actually fighting the enemy, this system is pretty much going to be empty, clear. There might be 1 or 2 people inside. Maybe they're not paying attention. The enemy fleet might just be waiting 1 jump away from this, and this specific Sino Tower might be bookmarked. What happens is, where if the enemy fleet also has a spy, let's say in the comms, when the leader, the alliance leader, will pull back the capital ships and will say, everyone jump back to the Sino Tower and regroup or whatever. Well, you see, the capital ships will jump out first because the support ships need to stay there to make sure that the capitals jump out, meaning that there will be no support fleet waiting for the capitals here at home. Meaning, right here at home, when the capital ships jump, yeah, an enemy fleet might just wait for them in this exact location, which is pretty much away from the station, away from everything. And if no one is here to protect them, that's where you get to kill your capitals. That's where the enemy fleet, the mercenary fleet that was hired by your enemy, gets the juicy kills. And we might take into consideration that after a battle, some of the carriers will have, I don't know, damage, the capacitor will be low, maybe some of the fighter wings will be affected and will run at half capacity, just being able to launch 12 fighters because some of them got blasted in combat. So you're going to be pretty vulnerable, and this is where shit can go down, and this is how you can lose your entire capital fleet. Now, of course, the mercenary fleet will have to bring in some support to do this. You can protect from enemy hot drops by using the Sino Jammer, which is another structure that you can deploy near your outposts. Again, has to be 5,000 kilometers away from any structure. But this pretty much blocks the creation of any Sino field, so the enemy cannot open a Sino field for its capitals to jump inside your home system. As you can see, Sinosral signature stability -10. So, crisis averted. But of course, that structure can be taken down and, well, you can still have a hot drop. Okay, so let's talk about fatigue a bit. We've got jump fatigue status and drive cooldown status. Drive cooldown status is a timer that whenever you initiate a jump, well, you'll end up with a cooldown. You cannot activate the jump drive again, meaning after you reach here you have to wait a bit before the jump drive recharges. You cannot jump immediately at the new point along your route. And of course we also have another status which is called jump fatigue status. So a longer fatigue will lead to a longer jump drive cooldown before the next jump. This is pretty much capped around an hour or so. So if you initiate my, by the way, my jump cooldown has gone away, meaning I can jump again, but I still have the fatigue, meaning if I jump right now, because I have no cooldown left on my jump drive, if I jump now and my jump fatigue is high, the cooldown, which was, I don't know, 5 minutes, will get to be even bigger. So with a big jump fatigue, you'll end up with bigger and bigger jump drive cooldowns, meaning you cannot jump a route of 12 waypoints, let's say, so you just do 12 consecutive jumps given that you have the fuel stored in the cargo hold. You won't be able to do it because at one point you won't even be able to initiate the jump drive for at least 7 hours if you jump continuously while having the jump fatigue status. The cooldown is going to be exceedingly high, and you'll just have to log out and return, I don't know, in a couple of hours when you can jump again safely, and you can perhaps do one more jump and then do a break again. Yeah, so that's pretty much it on the capital tactics. How can you get one of them down quickly? I've just told you about the most vulnerable point immediately after they have jumped, because they cannot jump out because they have a cooldown. So that's when you can get them 100%. Of course, you can also catch them off guard while ratting FK, because some of them have been doing exactly that. With the carriers, of course, the Dreadnoughts are not for NPC pew-pew. They're just not made for that. So we'll definitely see many more capital carrier kills in the near future. And believe me, they're not cheap. I mean, the people that built them probably have enough insurance to just replenish them. At one point, insurance will go away. But I guess they'll just build new ones? I don't know. By the way, the best strategy of carriers being flown together in a fleet will be 1 or 2 carriers having the standard fighters to deal with big ships, while the, I don't know, we'll have the support carriers, like two carriers or so, having the light version of the fighters to be able to deal with tacklers, to be able to deal with small ships, and perhaps even other carriers, or at least enemy carrier fighter drones. So this, in my opinion, this is the way they should be flown. And of course, with a backup of support combat ships from a corporation and alliance, These capital ships, they're not meant to fly solo. Please, guys, try to understand that. For the rest of you guys that do try to blow them up, if you catch one solo, show no mercy. So, this is it for today. Don't forget about the giveaway. So, if you want a shot at a coupon code, remember you need to put a comment below in the comment section using the following format: coupon space dash space and your in-game name. And you can put that there, and I'll probably compile all the winners tomorrow, or I don't know. 260 codes to give away is going to be pretty much a logistical nightmare, and I'm going to be able to, I don't know, compile the winners either this Sunday or perhaps on Monday, but I'll send you guys all the codes, no bullshit. So that's it for today. I hope you guys learned something. Thank you guys for watching. A very big shout out to my channel supporters, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.